Hi everybody, welcome to Golden Rosa Tarot. Welcome back if you've been here before. Welcome if it's your first time. Happy to have you here with me tonight. Today is feeling rather stressed out, and I had the privilege of going to this beautiful meditation center here in Los Angeles, and the self-realization international headquarters, to be precise. If you live in the area, I recommend checking it out on Mount Washington. Very beautiful, very peaceful. And I left feeling just completely transformed in my energy because I went in feeling very distorted and stressed out. And it had me thinking about the topic of softness, which is what I want to talk about tonight. And how it's like, sorry, I'm just waiting for this motorcycle to go by, it's loud. But yeah, the topic of softness and its role in our lives, especially these days when it feels like everything's very cruel. When you look at what's happening in the world, we're sort of bombarded with, not that there hasn't always been cruelty in the world, it's just that now we're seeing it, right? We see from all different points in the world where people are doing horrible, atrocious things to each other. And we're living increasingly in systems which have no value on human life, that place no value on humanity or softness or kindness or care. And I know myself, and probably, to be fair, all of us are suffering under these systems where everything's monetized, everything's about the bottom line. And just as a culture, if you live in, Turtle Island, also known as the United States of America, colonization of America, we live in a society where the needle is very much turning towards a very scary place in terms of how people are treated. And it's always been that way, but I feel like now it's being broadcast more. Most of us have social media, and we're getting our news from outlets other than mainstream media, so we're seeing a fuller picture of the truth. And we're also just seeing that there's a real lack of hiding it. There's always been darkness and cruelty in the world, but we're living in a time when people are pretty brazen about it, and it's becoming more and more so that way. So what I'm getting at is, I realized today when I was up there at the shrine and just relaxing with the trees, it was like, I feel the best in my life and my energy and myself when I feel soft on the inside, and that softness is a privilege that each of us, experiences softness to various degrees in our life, has the opportunity to be in a soft space to varying degrees in our life. Obviously, Indigenous people of color, there's a lot of, disabled people, this is the group I'm in. We can have a harder time, and I'm not putting myself in the same category of abuse as people of color, but there can be a real culture of dismissiveness towards you because of what your particular life situation is. It can be very hard to hear, things like your life isn't as worthy, etc., etc. So anyway, we're living in these very dark times. True. I think it's also true for all of us that we feel the best when we're connected to ourselves, when we're connected to the people around us, when we feel loved and supported by our community. And even though the people in power right now are very much, well, I think we know what they're doing, and it's not soft. Let me just put it that way. They're not doing the soft thing, right? So, like, how do we create our little microcosms of softness? Like, how do we create softness within ourselves, and the way we speak to ourselves, and the way we care for ourselves, and the way we care for the world? Because truly, there's so many more, you know, everyday people than there are people in power, and it can feel really overwhelming to be up against these like massive systems that seem, you know, hell bent on destroying us in one way or another. But if we lose our softness, if we lose our ability to, you know, enjoy a sunset or enjoy a cup of tea or spend time with a good friend, or to open our hearts to experiencing healing and peace and grace and forgiveness and kindness in our own lives, then we've sort of lost the plot, right, as humanity. So I'm not sitting here saying that softness is the only ingredient of life. There's times to be a ferocious warrior. I just realized I have chocolate on my thumb. I'm powered by chocolate tonight, as always. That's my go juice. Um, as I was saying, so I'm not insinuating that softness is the only approach. Obviously, there's times to be righteously holy, you know, anger, you know, be the sacred rebel, stand up, you know, tell someone, you know, that they're in the wrong when they're hurting somebody. Every emotion has its time and place, right? But I do really think it's important, just for our general well-being, to try to maintain some softness in these times. You know, like, what else are we gonna do? Like, become robots? You know, and it's really hard. It's really hard to try to be soft, stay soft, or maintain any level of softness when the world is so blatantly cruel at this time. So just wanted to pop on, do a little reading since it's on my mind. And as always, you know, when I do these readings, I'm reading for myself, and if it helps you too, then that's wonderful. But I'm asking these questions for myself too, like how do we maintain softness in this crazy world? So let's start with a little bit of tarot. Oh, also, I have activated Reiki through my voice and my hands. If you'd like to receive the Reiki, say I do. Say I do. Yes, whatever, nod your head. If not, no worries. It's just an added bonus. Dear Spirit. And if you haven't watched me read before, I only read jumper cards, so I can bypass my logical brain. Dear Spirit, could you please give us some archetypes through the tarot to help us understand how we can better cultivate the spirit of softness in our life when it's appropriate, when it's safe, and when it's necessary for our survival, to feel softness towards ourselves, towards others, towards the world at large. Dear Spirit, will you please give us 3 archetypes to sort of start off this reading and dive into this topic of softness. Thank you. I hope you guys are all doing okay. I know it's tough out there. Aw. We got the sad horse to start with. Dear Spirit, can you please give us some more archetypes, a couple more archetypes to work with the energy of softness, please? And I got the King of Cups. Since I take forever to shuffle, I'll just take a chance to take a few deep breaths, relax, Feel calm and safe and held. I hope that you feel the energy of softness through this reading. That you feel like in the context of this reading, you can relax into your own softness. Know that you're in a safe place, that I'm holding you in love. Well, this is very interesting. So how beautiful. We have both the King and Queen of Cups. And the cups in the tarot represent emotions, creativity, the heart. So that's beautiful. It's coming through. And we also started off here with the Five of Cups and the King of Swords, Father of Swords. So with this first card, the Five of Cups, it's a good one to come out for this reading. I know the horse looks very sad, and we don't like the horse to be sad, but it's kind of just a fact, you know, and we all know it. The shadow side of feeling our feelings, of being soft, is you do feel more pain, you do feel more sadness. You feel the pain of the world more heavily when your heart is open, when you're soft. There is a sort of divine balance in everything. Like, it reminds me of a time I did a plant medicine ceremony, and I'd asked the spirit of the plant. I said, I want to have a more open heart. And she took me through an experience that felt as if I felt all the pain in the world. And I had Googled that other people had had this similar experience, so it's obviously one she takes multiple people through, but it felt like I was feeling every mother who ever lost their child in a war. I mean, everyone who'd ever grieved anything. I'm sure I wasn't. I'm sure my physical body would combust if I was really feeling every pain that ever existed, but I feel like I felt as much pain as my body could handle. And there was this very clear message in that, that to the extent that we love is the extent that we suffer, you know? So that is sort of the trade off in this world, you know? We can close off our hearts and we can become hard and we can protect ourselves and put up a shield and not feel as much, you know? But in order to have those really sublime moments, those really healing, beautiful, life affirming, healing experiences, we have to have an open heart. We have to be soft, you know, to ourselves and others. And so we have to go into it knowing the stakes, you know, knowing that for as soft as we become, we're also becoming equally vulnerable to the pain of the world. Next up, we have the Father of Cups. And it's funny because when I pulled that, I was like, well, that's interesting because I started to instantly think about the Queen of Cups, which, so we got both. Here we have Father of Cups and we have Queen of Cups. And the King of Cups is kind of our emotional mastery, you know? It's a little bit, he's a little more detached than the Queen of Cups. The, you know, Mother of Cups is just kind of like that, just complete outpouring of love, this complete softness, this complete, you know, cries at a Hallmark commercial kind of soft love. Where the King of Cups is, it's a deep love, it's a deep and unconditional love, but it has a little bit of a reserve to it. It has a little bit of kind of holding it together, you know. He's a little more structured than the Queen of Cups, who's just this outpouring of emotion, which I think is very interesting. It was then followed by the King of Swords, which is very much about logic and the mind. And so I feel like these cards are representing a whole spectrum of emotional states that we can be in terms of our softness, you know. We could be completely overwhelmed by the pain of the world. We can love the world deeply and have this, you know, still sort of detachment. Maybe that detachment comes through meditation or I think for me, the way I detach is I always try to see the big picture. I'm always thinking things like, well, it's not our only life, or, you know, once these people are in spirit, all this pain is going to be taken away from them. And it doesn't negate the need to protect the people who are suffering at this time. Like, there's the Depeche Mode song, Everything Counts in Large Amounts. And I think that's true of our existence as well, is like everything does count, that we're here as a sort of test, a sort of trial. There's the beautiful Leonard Cohen song, Lover, 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 where he says, I locked you in this body. I meant it as a kind of trial. You can use it as a weapon or to make some woman smile. It's like we're here being tested. We're here to gather our strength and our faith and our hope and to try to make the world a better place. Whether or not we succeed in some sort of grand geopolitical way, we absolutely each have the power to create a little softness in our corner of the world. We were always given infinite opportunities to do that. And then we have this, like I said, the King of Swords is very much about logic. He's a cold energy, and it's interesting that he's showing up in this energy of softness. But I think I'm just going to go out on a limb here because it's just fascinating to me that we got the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So we have all this love energy. We have all this love, but then we're also showing that there's the shadow of love, which is sadness, and then we're also being shown this card which is very much the opposite of being soft. I can't think of a less soft card than the Father of Swords, the King of Intellect, King of Reason and Logic and Rationality. And maybe that's to show us that our hearts, okay, I'll put it this way. In order for our hearts to be as open as possible in this world, you could say that's a sort of maybe a feminine energy, and saying that, and that we each have feminine and masculine energy within us, regardless of our identity or body shapes. But maybe that feminine energy is to be very free flowing, where the masculine energy is more about rules and structures and boundaries. And I feel like the King of Swords has an important message for us, and that's, in order to give the most love that we can to this world, we also have to set boundaries. We have to set boundaries on like if we're giving our energy and our softness to someone who's not doing the personal work to improve their own situation, if we're letting ourselves get run down and not getting enough sleep and caring for ourselves and like playing the martyr, like that's a time when we need to set a strong boundary. If we're feeling just completely overwhelmed by the news and we need to take a day off social media so that we can, meditate and regain our inner peace, like that, setting a boundary for yourself. And I feel like the two go hand in hand, that to give the most love and the most softness to the world, we also need to have the opposite energy, which is to have boundaries around our self-care, boundaries around what we do and do not give our energy to. And I'm getting to like boundaries around our thoughts, because a lot of times, like when you see horrible atrocities happening in the world, it's very tempting to like want to hate the people who are doing it, right? And to send negative energy to them. And I'm not, saying that these things are right that are happening in the world, but I also do try to challenge myself and my own thoughts to not add to the hatred in the world by hating the people who are doing the evil deeds. It's better to, I find, to like focus on love and loving the people who are being oppressed and loving the people in my life. I find for myself that's a better use of my energy than to focus on how much I, judge and condemn the people who are doing the evil acts. Now, I'm not here to tell anybody what's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, that's where I think this energy is coming through, of having our hearts and our minds working in when there's a word that won't come out. They're like this, our heart and our mind. It's like together. It's not one or the other, right? So we need a little bit of our mental power to navigate our big soft hearts, right? It kind of protects the big soft heart. We have to sometimes breathe. We have to sometimes take a pause. All right. It's an interesting start. Let's go to our plant friends. Let's see if we can get an herbal ally to help us. Dear plant spirits, what would you like to come through to teach us how we can maintain our softness in a world that is increasingly hard and cold. Which plant spirit, which plant ally would love to teach us about maintaining softness? Shuffling skills are, it's not my thing. Dear plant spirits, plant friends, who wants to teach us a lesson on how to maintain our softness today? Oh, wow, rosemary. Okay, very cool. So we got a little stack there, but I'm going to go with the top one. It's so funny because I literally just put rosemary essential oil on. It's one of my favorites just to keep my energy system clear. And it's very cool because it's associated with Mother Mary, who was one of the Ascended Master I picked for this reading today. But yeah, I personally use rosemary essential oil all the time. I put it on my forehead, my crown chakra, my heart, my throat, and it sort of has a very high vibration of unconditional love and clarity as well. So it's a really nice combination. Rosemary, ancient memory, remembrance, ancient memory, multidimensional sight, recollection, commitment, and loyalty to a vision. Legend has it that the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus, as she fled from Egypt, sheltered next to a rosemary bush. She threw her cape onto the bush, and the white flowers turned blue. Since then, this precious herb has been called Rose of Mary. Ah, Rose of Mary. I get it now. The guidance is ruled by both Mercury, the planet of the mind, and the sun. The planet represent. Oh, sorry. The words are dancing around like sugar plum fairies tonight. I do apologize. Ruled by both Mercury, the planet of the mind, and the sun, the planet representative of our base ego and superego, rosemary embodies this holy connection, the mind of the ego to the superego, the higher mind. So the rosemary embodies the connection between our everyday ego and our superego, the higher mind. This card signifies past feelings and emotions are resurfacing from deep within you. You may find yourself remembering and accessing ancestral memories that reside within your DNA. Rosemary assists us in healing through multidimensional sight, reminding us to use the power of vision to see beyond the contracts of everyday life. Don't disassociate or get consumed by the veil that broadcasts emotional imbalance. Call upon rosemary as a guiding light to see beyond the veil of confusion and stay committed to the vision that moves you. Yeah, that's exactly my experience with working with rosemary. Is it's that combination of love and clarity, just it's what we need. It's kind of what I was talking about too, is like seeing past the sort of veils of this lifetime. It's into a larger picture of things. And I also want to get a card from, let's do our inner child. So I feel like our inner child is very important to our maintaining our softness, right? Dear Spirit, will you please give us a card, a message from the inner child today? Little tips for maintaining our softness in this world. Thank you. Okay, we got two. Just take them both. So we got breathe in, practice breath work today, and write a letter to your inner child. We breathe in, we breathe out. This is such a simple yet momentous thing. Our breath brings life to our bodies and has the power to bring peace to our souls. If you have pulled this card, then it might be time to focus on your breath today. So I'm not going to go like deeply into these cards. It's just some prompts, and breath work is a really great way for some people to connect to the body when you connect deeper into yourself and soften and put yourself in a space where you can start to work through some of your trauma, work through some of your nervous system glitches. So breath work is a good tool for maintaining our softness. We also got write a letter. So this is another possibility for maintaining your softness. Along this healing journey, it can be powerful to write letters to your inner child. Powerful emotions can be released and expressed through letter writing, either to your inner child or as your inner child. If you have pulled this card, it's time to write a letter and listen to your intuition. Yeah, I think that's a great exercise personally, because we live in a culture where emotions are not really respected or honored, unless it's anger. If you're a man, you can feel angry, right? Men aren't allowed to feel sad, and women aren't allowed to feel angry. So you have men who, and I'm sorry to the men, who haven't learned how to regulate their emotions, how to feel their sadness and their grief and their uncertainty. And then, us women also get shafted in this culture because we're taught we can never be angry, we can never stand up for ourselves, we always have to be soft and submissive. And so, men go through life feeling very lonely and isolated, and generally speaking. And as women often develop wonderful autoimmune conditions and chronic illnesses and chronic pain, because we have to hold in our anger, we have to hold in the injustices we often experience, in different forms of abuse. And just sort of living on this planet is a being who is considered property, like there's a lot of injustices that women experience that we just have to hold in. And so part of being softness is to confront our own emotions, right? It's getting honest and real about how we actually feel. So writing a letter is a good way to do that. Let's get a card now from the Botanical Inspirations. Let's get a flower. I find that flowers are extremely healing. They're just little magical aliens. When you look at them so close up, like it's like they're so like iridescent and beautiful and magical. And then they have this whole other aspect of their bioluminescence, or their ultraviolet expressions that the bees and the butterflies see. It's just so beautiful, so magical. So, dear flower spirits, do you have a message for us today about some tips for maintaining our softness? And we got a primrose. It's funny, we got rosemary, primrose. I feel like Rose is wanting to come through. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to call it. Rose is wanting to come through, and Some beautiful ways to work with rose medicine, of course, are to buy yourself a bouquet of roses and keep them near you, or just a single rose. Also, rose quartz is an extremely soothing crystal. And something I love to do is just use like a rose spray. You can make it yourself. You can like boil rose petals, if they're not chemically treated, and then strain that and then add water. You can buy it. I'm lucky that I live near a store where I can get it rather inexpensively. Like certain. I'm not sure what the it's from Lebanon. It's somewhere. But it's like $4 for like a bottle of rose water. So, but just spritzing yourself with rose water is a great way to raise your vibration. Wearing rose quartz jewelry or holding a rose quartz, it's like a little palm stone, can be a very soothing energy. And this is very sweet. It says primrose stands for youthful love. If I had a single flower for every time I think of you, I could walk forever in my garden. Claudia Adrian Granati. Sweet. Primrose is the sacred flower of Freya, the Norse goddess of love. In Latin, its name primula means first rose of the spring. It is also the flower of first love. In the secret language of flowers, the yellow primrose conveys the message between young lovers. I can't live without you. The purple primrose represents confidence. Through the ages, brightly colored primroses have inspired poets including Shakespeare, Burns, Milton, and Wordsworth. The inspirational message. When we are young, we are willing to take a chance for love. As we go through life, we should remember that youthful confidence and exuberance in all we do. Always keep your heart open. Love is all around. And yeah, there's something about youthful love, right? Like we all remember like a time before our hearts were like really like seasoned by life. And I'm sure probably too we've all gone through times when we feel like our hearts kind of shut down and closed off. I certainly have. I certainly went through like a really bad breakup once where like for years I couldn't really feel my heart. And it's such a great way to go through life, because it's like it's hard to feel all the pain, but it's also really hard to feel numb, right? It's like there's no joy in anything. So the beauty of youthful love is like that it's so open, that it's so optimistic, that we haven't experienced all those hurts. But I think that even after we have experienced a lot of hurt and letdown and disappointment and pain in life, we can still return back to this like very open childlike state. I think that's the goal, right? Like I heard the saying once that enlightened people are just wise children. So it's like, how do we get back to that childlike wonder, that childlike exuberance, when a kid sees a frog or finds a cool rock, and it's like they're so freaking happy, like and I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to get back to that state in myself, just being really happy about like simple beautiful things, like watching the light change on my wall, like just the more we can sort of open up to like the everyday miraculous and the beauty of life, the more we can maintain our softness. So let's go now and get a card from call in our animal friends. We got the Woodland Warden's deck here. Dear animal friends, this is actually a plant and animal deck. So, dear plants and animals, can you please give us more guidance on how to maintain softness in this world? Interesting. We got the moth and the eucalyptus, an ending. At first I was like, well, that doesn't sound very soft. But then I thought, in this realm where we experience the end of everything. It makes everything that much more precious, right? Knowing that nothing is forever in the nothing material is forever, like in spirit it is, but knowing that we won't always have our loved ones or certain relationships, or even the rose that we, bouquet of roses we buy for ourselves are going to shrivel up and die. It makes things precious, right? If we can have that like appreciation for things in this vulnerable place of the material realm that we all exist in, like knowing that this isn't forever, like none of it, the good isn't forever, the bad isn't forever. And can we open our hearts to what is happening right now? Can we be a little more patient and compassionate? Can we have that reverence for what is while it is? All right. The moth in eucalyptus is at number 13 for a reason. It mirrors the meaning of the death card in the traditional tarot deck. The death card rarely indicates literal death, but rather marks an ending of some kind and provides us with the knowledge and power to let go. The moth shown here isn't. Oh, the moth shown here is the death's head hawk moth, named for the unique skull-like marking on its back. The death's head is nocturnal, and like all moths, it flies towards the light. Eucalyptus is a symbol of protection, as the oil from the plant can be used to guard against and soothe a variety of ailments. And some of the messages are, how can I be more accepting of change? And what tools do I have that might help me feel safe and protected when a change occurs in my life? So yeah, accepting this sort of cycle of life, because we feel like sometimes if we harden ourselves, we're going to protect ourselves, right? We're not going to feel the pain and the downs and the sadness of life. But then it's like we're also not going to feel the beauty and the reverence and the miraculous side of life either, So maybe knowing that everything is temporary gives us the scope to be more compassionate. It's like in the movie Moonstruck, when Cher's character shows her dad her quote unquote engagement ring, and he's like, "That's not an engagement ring; it's a pinky ring," and she's like, "It's temporary." And then he says this beautiful line. He says, "Everything is temporary. That doesn't excuse nothing." It's like back to like the Depeche Mode song, "Everything counts in large amounts." We get this like this little shot at life. So like, it's as horrific and terrible and crushing as it is, and it is. Like, we also have this like one little shot to find our power to experience joy and beauty in this realm, which is, it's a feat, but it's worthwhile, right? Hopefully. Yeah, with me. I mean, like I said, I'm doing this reading for me too. It can be tough out here. So let's get a message from our crystal friends, our dear crystal friends. Do you have any messages for us today on how we can maintain our softness in this world, this crazy, crazy world? These, I'm a terrible shuffler, as you can see, but these are especially challenging. Oh, shape, I don't know. Our dear, dear crystal friends, please give us a message tonight to assist us in maintaining our softness in this world, in this crazy hard world. That one wanted to come out, I think. It's just like, pick me. Okay. We'll pick you. So just showing you the front because it's a lovely pink stone, very matchy. So we have a rhodonite, and its keywords are compassion, yin-yang, and fertility. Rhodonite is a stone of brotherly love, the shared connection between all of humanity. Equilibrium is key for this crystal, which has the capacity to calibrate. I'm saying it so wrong. Calibrate? Calibrate. I don't know. I think that means to balance your emotions, balance yin and yang, and source energy from a grounded place. It can bring light to emotional scars from the past, transforming them to transfer or to foster a stable everyday life. Rhodonite helps remove blame from the situation, whether it's pointed at you or someone else. Accept the situation for what it is and learn to forgive yourself with love and compassion in the process. Beautiful, beautiful message. And yeah, forgiveness is really key to this whole softness thing. And it's something I've been working on a lot lately. It's come up for me. And it's not something you can rush. I think, if you're someone who's very soft and loving and someone does you wrong, like there is a time to like put up this boundary, and be like, no, that's unacceptable. This, I'm not dealing with that. For your own protection, right? Because you can't have a soft heart if it's being like hurt all the time. You just can't. Like you have to sort of have a protection around your heart. But then when you have learned to protect your heart in a reasonable way, to a reasonable degree, there is a time and place when it does feel good to let go and to forgive and to sometimes I can get caught up on the word forgive because to me that means to just like let somebody all the way back in. But forgiveness can also just mean letting go, releasing, and no longer carrying this like weight of the injustices that are done to you, and then your heart is able to soften up again. It's not being suffocated by these like vines of resentment, because resentment, it's anger and grief that become hardened, it becomes this hard shell around our heart, and it's sort of the opposite of being soft, right? So this is a good stone to work with if you're needing to feel more compassionate, forgiveness energy. Okay, let's go next to our heavenly bodies. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to put this card. I don't want to cover up Mother Mary's face. That just doesn't seem right. I'll put there. Does that look better? Alright, our dear heavenly bodies, may please come through with some messages tonight about how we can maintain some softness in this world towards ourselves, towards each other, how we can start to create systems, microcosms and macrocosms of softness and care. I keep thinking of that song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love, It really does. This world needs all the love it can get from all of us. And we don't have to, go far to find a way to share our love. It's literally staring us in the face most days, the way we can give our love, share our love, make this life a little better for all of us. And really, I watch so many near-death experiences, and they all say, like, love is the only thing that matters. Like, it's like every single person says that. So I think that's worth noting. I think they might be onto something if every single person who sees the other side is just like, it's just all love. And when they do their life review, they're like, a lot of people will say, like, what really impressed, source creator was the small moments of kindness. It wasn't my accomplishments, it wasn't how much money I had. It was, when I, just said to my coworker that they looked nice, or, gave someone who's going out through a hard time a little money to buy lunch, or, whatever it was, just the small acts of kindness is really, really what holds the world together. It's a beautiful Rumi poem. I would love to remember it, but it was something along the lines of, the universe is such that just by singing or committing a act of kindness, you're doing as much as anybody. Like it's the little light that we weave into the web of existence that really counts for something. It's kind of the only thing that really counts, I think. I'm getting goosebumps as I say it, so. All right. Dear astrological bodies, heavenly bodies, stars, planet, skies, what would you say to us looking down on us on Earth on this topic of softness? All right. Is that still in the shot? I'm going to do like this, and like this, and like this. Okay. So we got yawn energy, proactivity, expression, doing, and forward motion. Interesting. This is the energy of the divine masculine, one half of creation. This force pushes the spiritual realms inward night into physical light of day. Outward and proactive, it brings forth material life. This is a dynamic, manifesting, doing energy. It is tangible and linear. 1 + 1 = 2. It's ego in living consciousness and the named, spoken, expressed realm of waking life. Being an active creative force, it's linked to the elements of fire and air. This is not the realm for water's emotions or earth's patience. As a result, all fire signs within the zodiac are considered yang. All fire and air signs are considered yang. Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. Keep in mind that this is distilled masculinity and makes no reference to physical gender. Yang energy lives within both male and female bodies. It says, venture into the light of day, speak your truth and be seen. Now is the time to engage with the world, begin a project, take that leap of faith, share your ideas, birth your inner world into waking life. You have angelic support in manifesting the life of your dreams. Cool. And I think that's, the message there is just that love is a verb, it's, and it's also, the yang energy is light, so it's like, where can you bring a little light into the darkness? And darkness as in the heavy aspect of, we see a lot of heavy darkness as opposed to the peaceful void in the world, what's the saying? It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. I think that's the message of this card, is do something, just do one little thing. It might not seem like much to give, an unhoused person $5. It might not seem like much to put out a little seashell of water for the bees, in the summer, but do like that one little thing, like, and that starts to break apart that doing energy. It will start to break apart the inertia of the overwhelmed feeling that you're not making a difference, because it's those little pinpoints of light, that create this like much larger web that we can't see. We can't see how, if everyone's doing that, if everyone's lighting little candles, pretty soon the darkness dissipates. And that is the power that we have. I think right now it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and powerless to the point of inertia. And so this card is saying, go forward, light the candle, do that little small act of kindness for yourself or another. You're just as valuable as anyone else. If getting a massage makes you feel like a more peaceful, loving person, get a massage, So yeah, beautiful message. And let's go ahead and wrap it up here. And we're going to pull a card from Mother Mary, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to pull a card from her. And so funny that she came through. She was like, I'm here. Mother Mary in the house. So, dear Mother Mary, one of the many beautiful faces of the great goddess, thank you for holding us in your love and your care through all the dark and scary times of our lives. What message would you like to come through today to help us to connect to our inner softness, connect to our inner light, to bring just a little more care and compassion and love to this world that's so hurting right now, that's so in need of a lot more of that, right? A lot more of that kind of energy. Dear Mother Mary, what messages do you have for us today? Okay. And we have Our Lady of Nourishment. I'll try to make these fit. Okay. All right, this is our closing message tonight from our dear Mother Mary. Our Lady of Nourishment, do you hunger, my child, for love, for security, for knowing that all will be well? Do you hunger for food, for possessions, for relationships, for opportunities to be free in the world and make your mark? Do you hunger, my child, for feelings of tenderness, appreciation, and acknowledgement? Let me fulfill that hunger now through divine presence and the bounty that it brings. Let me fulfill that hunger that you may know fullness, not only fed by the spiritual worlds, but nourished through delight in your precious life in this physical world through which you are approaching your spiritual enlightenment. To put it mildly, the human soul is worth fighting for. It is the part of us that feels, that has compassion, creativity, and connection to the living reality of the body and the natural world. It just knows when something is genuinely true or false. It isn't interested in right and wrong and judgment in one belief over another. The human soul wants to thrive. The only world it knows to be true is love. So I'm just skipping through, so I'm not reading the 3 pages here. One person has tremendous power to create difference in the world. Imagine how much power and energy could be generated for the greater good by a group of conscious people with great passion, working together with conscious intent. It would make human beings transform very quickly in the world as well. And a prayer to say for Mother Mary is, I call upon Mother Mary, Our Lady of Nourishment, who loves me unconditionally. You who know my deepest hungers and desires, please help me be truly nourished. Mother, I ask for your support, intervention, and assistance that my soul may be fed, that it may thrive, bringing passion, light, and presence to this world, igniting the souls of others too. May your will be done. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm wishing you so much love and peace and softness and harmony and well-being. And I'll see you soon.